Commander Bob is a good friend of mine. I've known him for years, and he watched the video about hard work and he sent me a note, which actually came in the form of a very long text. So he must have been just thumbing away like crazy at his iPhone to send me this long text. And he wanted to ask me about my own journaling habits. And this is something, even though we've known each other for years, we've never talked about. But he also sent me a page from his journal, which was interesting, and I promise not to share it here. Not that you could read it anyway. And the reason that I resisted keeping a journal for so many years is because my handwriting is so poor, it didn't make sense to keep a journal because the ideas really weren't in the best form for me to use. And I'm a good typist, even though I type with just 2 fingers and a thumb, but I can read my typing, and my typing is completely legible to every human being on earth, including me. So until I got a really good app, I didn't journal at all. And that app is called Day One, and you can get it for the iPhone and you can get it for your Mac, and you can set up multiple journals. So that's what I've done, is I've set up multiple journals inside an app. And the app comes for the iPhone, which means you can take a note wherever you are. You can take a picture to put in your journal. It's going to put your GPS coordinates there, whether you were walking, sitting, riding in a car. It just captures all kinds of things like that. It's kind of interesting to have that information along with the journal. So what do I capture? The first thing that I capture is anytime I have a really big idea, I'm going to capture it in a journal. I want to make sure that I don't lose any ideas. So if I think of something and I think it's going to be worth knowing in the future, even if it's 2 sentences, I'll put it in a journal. And I do the same thing with blog posts. If there's something that I think about and I think this would make a great blog post sometime in the future, I'm going to take notes about it immediately. And that's different. That's not like a note for a journal. That for me goes into my text editor, Ulysses. So I capture every big idea that comes into my head that I want to remember, and then I can go through them and look and say, okay, what was I thinking then? Where was I? Why is this important to me? The second thing that I'm going to capture is business ideas. So in different businesses, I have a different journal, and whenever things cross my mind and I need to write out my thoughts, I'll go into the journal and I'll take long notes on business ideas or business challenges or business strategies or things that are important to me that don't show up on the blog. It's something that I'm not going to write about in public. It's something about me thinking about my own business, those challenges, the people that I'm working with, and it can get really, really detailed and granular and very micro in that kind of a journal. But they're all in one place and they're categorized by business, so I get to see them that way. And then the last thing I keep in my journal is more personal. And what I've learned is that if I have a state change and I don't like the state change, so somebody comes in and gives me bad news, or they tell me something that I'm not prepared to deal with or don't want to deal with, and I recognize I'm having a state change, I don't allow people to determine what my state is. So for me to get out of that, what I do is I objectify whatever it is that I'm emotionally attached to. And by that, what I mean is I type out my feelings, and I might start with something like this: I will not allow other people to change my state. It's too important that I have the emotional energy and a positive attitude to make my contribution. Okay, so why am I upset about this? And I'll type that in. And what should I really be doing about it? And then when am I going to do that? And whose help do I need? So I'll type all this in. And as soon as it's out of my body, I'm free. I've now objectified it. I'm no longer the subject of that problem. The problem is an object. And so I can make it go away by typing that into my journal. So if you have a sense of overwhelm or a sense of stress, one way to get rid of that is to journal it and to say, here's what I'm thinking about. And look, there's only 2 choices if you have a problem. One, if there's something you can do about that problem, then you decide what to do and you start taking action. If it's a problem and there's nothing you can do about it, you don't need to worry about it. So just write down, there's nothing I can do about this. I'm not empowered to change the political system in the country where I live, or change the economic system in the country where I live, or change the circumstances of my birth, or whatever the case may be. You can't change those things, so you can't let them consume your time and energy. So if you objectify them, you look at them, and you get some distance from it and say, okay, I can't do anything about that. What can I do? And then you do what you can do. For me, that's the purpose a journal serves. Day One is the journal I use, and I would recommend it. I'm Anthony Iannarino. Do hit the subscribe button. This show is every day.